chief foreign editor, Rob Parsons, is with me here on set. Rob, what lies do you think behind this decision? I mean, does it reflect strength? Does it reflect weakness? Perhaps even a bit of both?
Well, I would suggest weakness more than anything else, because this is a war that is extremely costly in manpower. You know, with somewhere around 1,000 men dead and wounded being lost every single day on the front lines, especially in the area around Donetsk.
Yeah, right. You heard it from the expert. Such are the typical bedtime stories from France 24. France, of course, is still crying because Russia kicked them out of Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. So there is nothing positive to be heard from their media outlets. But the fact is, when NATO countries keeps on sending weapons to Ukraine, it is because they are powerful. When Ukraine drags men from the streets to send them to the front against their choices, it is because Ukrainians are brave soldiers. But when Russia increases the size of its army due to the number of threats to the country from NATO countries, this is considered as weakness. Hello and welcome again to the Edge of Politics podcast. Geopolitical Queen here with today's episode on how some shameless adults calling themselves experts can sit down and create fiction and lies, deceiving themselves and their kinds because they learned nothing and forgot nothing in the name of media geopolitical experts. Whether it is a weakness or not, Russia is adapting to what is happening on the ground and adjusting and preparing for a long war, be it with Ukraine or NATO. When will such topsy-turvy noise makers learn to realize that losing to the Taliban in Vietnam and even to the Houthis is the brightest show of weakness than losing to an Ukraine which is supported by 50 NATO allied countries led by the one and only United States of America? This oblivious expert goes on to claim that
People that have to be replaced if Russia is going to keep using the same meat-grinding tactics that it has been using throughout the war so far, and there's no sign that it's changing tactics. In fact, given the fact that the new people coming in, the new soldiers being recruited, are less well-trained than the ones who have been killed or wounded, the meat-grinding tactics are likely to continue to be used because anything more than that requires more training. So the first thing that has to be said, though, I think, is 180,000 is a wish rather than a fact. Whether or not he will be able to get 180,000 by the end of the year, which is what he's asked to bring the total size of the army up to 1.5 million, is another matter. It will also be costly. According to an independent Russian think tank, the total cost of recruiting since the start of the war has been about 30 billion euros.
Yeah, so you heard him again. What business is it for this so-called expert if Russia spends 30 billion euros on its military? Is it money from Western countries or a loan from the World Bank or anything of the sort? Since the beginning of this special military operation, the Western media created their own fiction of huge Russian casualties. They claimed that Russia wouldn't be capable of sustaining such casualties. They also claimed that Russia was running out of ammunition and so on and so on. But Ukraine, that is actually the one suffering from all these losses, is somehow winning. Since when did losing imply winning? Winning by losing? Well, these habitual talking heads, who at best should be considered as activists and not geopolitical experts, seem to be very worried about Russian economy, which, as far as even the World Bank acknowledges, is growing faster than all European countries as compared to the UK economy that is in a deep recession. Does this activist assume that his audience are all dullards? Someone should please inform France 24 and their ilks that the year is 2024. The days of Western media selling propaganda as news to the public are long dead and gone. If these propagandists really think that Russia recruiting armed forces means weakness, but when NATO countries increase ammunition to Ukraine, it is greatness, then they can try a dance with Russia to see how things will turn out. After all, are Russian soldiers not supposed to be untrained? So what do you think? Does Ukraine dragging civilians from the streets to fight a professional Russian army mean a sign of greatness than a Russia recruiting more soldiers to defend its borders from NATO's provocations? Well, kindly leave your comments in the comment section below, and thanks for tuning in. I will be back with the next broadcast. Good day.